Keep the habits small and winnable. This is how our identity compounds. All of those habits build up, the consistency builds up, and then before we know it, we're that person. Do you struggle to maintain weight loss but desperately want to feel good in your own skin, confident in your clothes, and improve your overall health? If so, you're home. Hey, I'm Sam, dietitian, specialist in weight management, and former functioning fat girl. I learned the secret of how to lose and maintain weight by simply nourishing my life well. If you're ready for the sustainable nutrition strategies, consistent habits, and freedom from a self-sabotaging mindset, grab your water bottle and let's go. Friends, are you stuck? You need a lifestyle audit. I'm so happy to offer a 1-hour one-on-one coaching session that I call the Winning at Weight Loss Breakthrough Session. During this session, I audit all the different aspects of your day-to-day lifestyle and intake. I compare that with your goal and what you tell me is the main problem you're facing with your health journey, and I coach you on the most simple, realistic thing you can implement immediately to finally break through and start making progress towards lasting weight loss. You'll get a recording of our session, a handout recapping your game plan, and I'll check in with you 1 week later to see how it's going. This is such great value that I only have 10 spots per month available. Click the link in the show notes to book your Winning at Weight Loss breakthrough session as soon as possible so you don't miss out. Stop spinning your wheels trying to throw spaghetti at the wall, no pun intended, to find something that finally kickstarts your progress. Get your simple lifestyle audit in your breakthrough session and start winning at weight loss. I can't wait to meet you. Click that link in the show notes and let's hop into today's episode. Raise your hand if you've ever gone into a new year with the goal to lose a certain amount of weight. Okay, I can't actually see you, but I feel you because my hand is up as well. We have the best of intentions because, as I said before, our true why is rooted so much deeper than the surface level desire to just look thinner or better. We want to sleep better. We want to be less moody. We want to be able to just get dressed for the day without the drama of rummaging through 7 different outfits that all make us feel fat and avoid the meltdown of tears on the closet floor. I have been there far too many times. We want to not only live longer, but have the optimal level of quality of life. You don't have to raise your hands for that. I know it's true. I've worked with thousands of people fighting to lose weight and improve their health. I hear the same feedback over and over again. And you know what's really wild? So many of those people think they're alone in what they're telling me. For example, just the other day, someone was sharing with me that despite losing almost 100 pounds, she still sees herself as the woman holding that extra 100 pounds. And she kept saying things like, I know, I shouldn't feel that way. I know it's messed up, but it's just how I feel. As though she's the only one to ever feel that way. Raise your hand if you've been there. I know, I can't see you. But again, I feel you. And again, mine is up too. My friends, you are not alone. We are in this together. And so much of the quote unquote burdens that go along with a lifetime of struggling with overweight and or obesity are shared amongst all of us. Why do we try to isolate ourselves and feel alone in this fight? I get really emotional and just hate that for us. I feel it too, even to this day. If I'm having a tough body image day, my instinct is to isolate. And isolation is where backtracking begins. Negative thoughts start to spin out of control. We feel alone in our struggle. And what do? We turn to the very thing that we're upset about struggling with. Food. I actually call it the trifecta of trouble for me because it's all three: food, social media, and TV. The three things I instinctively want to use to cope when I'm feeling sorry for myself and alone. However, we are under no obligation to be the same person we were 5 years ago, 5 months ago, or even 5 minutes ago. And last episode, we kicked off this countdown to the new year by defining the differences between outcome-based goals and identity-based goals, so that we can not only achieve our desired weight loss, but most importantly, we're able to maintain it. Most people just dive into the unrealistic, vague, outcome-based goals on January 1 that are just simply not sustainable. But we're not most people. We're cool people, right? If you know, you know on that one. Okay. So welcome, friends, to another episode of the podcast. I really am so glad you're here with me. I'm so grateful for you. And before we get into creating our game plan, that New Year Better Me game plan, I want to just summarize the distinctions we made in the last episode. So I'll catch you up to speed. If you didn't hear it, I would strongly encourage you to go back and listen to episode 19 in its entirety. But for the most part, we talked about the difference between outcome-based goals and identity-based goals. So an outcome-based goal would be, I want to lose 20 pounds. The identity of that is, I am someone who cares for my body and nourishes it with healthy food. Or I want to run a 10K. The identity behind that is, I am a runner. Another outcome, I will save $10,000 this year. And the identity is, I am someone who manages my money wisely. In the outcome version, success depends on hitting a specific target, whereas with the identity, the behavior becomes an expression of who you are, which supports that same action consistently over time. We basically keep doing it because it's part of who we are. So the outcomes are not bad. They actually give us the direction and the clarity that we need. But the identity-based goals are much, much more effective for long-term behavior change. And my man, James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, if you don't have it, get it. It's amazing. Puts it, outcomes are about what you want. The processes are about how you act. And the identity is about who you are and believe yourself to be. So from this perspective, outcome goals give you a destination, whereas the identity goals give you a sense of self or a sense of belonging inside that journey. Okay, and research on behavior change shows that we are most successful when we combine both. So we need the clarity of our outcome goals, and then our identity goals anchor our behaviors in an identity that will support it over time, like for the long haul. So as we step into the new year, how do we turn those outcome-based goals into who we are statements? And I think we've done as a society pretty well for, several years now on not pushing when I was growing up, you always had to create New Year's resolutions. So I think pretty much everybody knows by now, nobody keeps resolutions. And the outcome-based goals are more like those resolutions. So how do we reach those outcomes that we want, but make it so that it just becomes a part of who we are, right? Now, remember, the identity-based goals work because they reshape how we see ourselves. Not how other people see us or how we want other people to see us, but how we see ourselves, which is a much stronger predictor of those long-term behaviors than, like a random motivation or that like discipline or willpower that we don't think that we have. So I'm going to walk you through a 5-step system that you can use to translate outcome goals to your identity into daily behaviors and create your own New Year, Better Me game plan. Okay? All right. So step 1, we start with the outcome, right? Remember we said that gives us the direction and the clarity. So even though the identity goals are more powerful long term, we need those outcomes to clarify what it is that we're aiming for. So for example, I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to reduce binge eating or emotional eating. I want to walk 3 times a week. I want to improve my energy. I want to lower my hemoglobin A1C. This is our North Star, if you will. We don't stop here, but it helps to set the focus and anchor the next steps. So the next step is going to be ask yourself, who is the kind of person who achieves this outcome? So this is the pivot. Pivot, another, if you know, you know. This is the psychological pivot. Instead of focusing on what we want, we shift the focus towards who we must become. So I want to lose 20 pounds. I am someone who keeps promises to my body. I am a person who nourishes myself consistently. I want to stop emotional eating or binge eating. I am someone who uses multiple tools to manage stress. I am a person who eats from care, not chaos. I want to walk 3 times a week. I am someone who moves my body regularly. I want to improve my labs. I am someone who supports my long-term health every day. So ask yourself, what version of you naturally achieves the thing you want? This creates a new self-concept or sense of self, which behavior change research shows is more stable than external motivation. Okay. Next step is that we want to name one identity statement or a personal mantra, if you will. We want the identity to be short, specific, emotionally resonant, easy to remember, and true enough that you can believe it, at least a little. Great identity statements usually begin with, quote, I am someone who. I am the kind of person who. I show up as a person who. I'll tell you guys mine if you tell me yours. I'm just going to tell you mine because you can't talk back to me unless you email me, in which case I would love that. But I'll tell you mine. It's, I am someone who turns to God in struggle instead of the trifecta of trouble. So if you missed what my trifecta of trouble is, it's food, TV, and social media. So when I'm struggling, I am someone who turns to God, not the trifecta of trouble. Other examples are like, I'm someone who chooses foods that make me feel good. I am someone who keeps commitments to myself. I am someone who breaks the all or nothing cycle. I am someone who moves my body to honor it, not punish it. The goal is not perfection, it's alignment, aligning your behaviors with who you are or who you want to be. So making those choices, with your sense of self so that you become that person. Step 4 is we translate the identity into those actions. So what do we have to do to become that person? This is where the real magic happens. That's our behavior change. That's what we're trying to accomplish. The identity guides our behaviors. So ask yourself, if this identity were already true, what's one small thing I would do today? So, for example, I am someone who nourishes my body. Well, what does someone who nourishes their body do? I can add protein to breakfast. I can have a balanced plate at dinner. I can bring a snack to wherever I'm going to avoid getting hangry and then eating everything. If your identity statement is, I am someone who moves consistently, what do your actions need to be? You could take a 10-minute walk after lunch. You could stretch before bed. You could do strength training once a week. If your identity statement is, I'm someone who handles emotions with care, your actions could be pause and breathe before eating. Journal for 3 minutes when you're feeling overwhelmed. Step outside for air. Touch grass. Get out of the kitchen. Keep the habits small and winnable. This is how our identity compounds. All of those habits build up. The consistency builds up. And then before we know it, we're that person. So step 5 is that we reinforce the identity through those micro wins. And that's what we call collecting evidence. So this is the part that I think most people really don't realize is the driver of identity change, because it, becomes really real when we collect the evidence that supports it. So I could sit here and say, I am a person who turns to God and not the trifecta of trouble when I'm struggling. But if none of my actions support that and I'm scrolling socials with, Netflix on, shoving chocolate chip cookies in my mouth, then that's not really collecting any evidence, right? So we want to collect that evidence, which would be, I went for a walk today. I am someone who moves. I ate a balanced lunch. I am someone who nourishes myself. I paused before stress eating. I am someone who uses tools. Every single one of those small wins reinforces, this is who I am now. And I know for those of us who really have spent a lifetime struggling with our weight, we tend to be people that have that all or nothing mentality. And so small wins seem very insignificant to us, but that is the magic. It's not insignificant. It's so significant. And the more we collect those small wins, it builds over time. And that's what results in those big, long-lasting transformations. So my guy, James Clear, I got to throw him back in, says, every action we take is a vote for the type of person we want to become. I'm going to say that again. Every action we take is a vote for the type of person we want to become. You don't need 100% of the votes. You just need a majority. Okay, we're human. We're never going to be perfect. But as long as we're doing the things a majority of the time, then that's where the transformation happens. Then we become that person. So how do we put it all together? I'm going to include a template that you can use in my weekly newsletter, in the Anchored Living newsletter that I send out every Monday evening. So if you are not on my list, make sure you subscribe, click the link in the show notes and get on that list. And I'm going to include the template for you so that you can create your game plan, but I'm going to walk you through it here. So we want to write down our outcome goal. What is the outcome? Put the focus to it. It's you want to lose X amount of weight. You want to get into whatever size jeans. You want to, I don't know, walk on the treadmill for 30 minutes 3 times a week, whatever the outcome is. And then you want to back it up with the identity goal. So who achieves this? I am someone who, and fill that in. And then what are the daily actions that correspond with that that person would do? So if this were true, if I was that person, these are the things that I would do. 3 or 4 actions. And then you want to list your evidence, collect the evidence for a week. What actions did you take? And write down the actions that you took so that you collect that evidence and you say, well, look at that. I am somebody who walks on the treadmill for 30 minutes 3 times a week. I am somebody who is healthy, XYZ, okay? So I'll take you through an example of a New Year Better Me game plan. Let's say one of the outcomes, and you can have more than one outcome. You don't want to start with like 10, but you could have a couple, break them down. But the biggest one, try to, go macro on the outcome. Like, what is the main thing? So lose 30 pounds, right? Let's just use that as an example. That's the outcome. The identity is, I am someone who takes consistent, compassionate care of my body. The daily actions I will take is I'm going to add protein to my meals. I'm going to walk 10 minutes a day. I'm going to do a fridge clean out every Sunday night. And I'm going to practice the pause before binge eating or emotional eating. And you do that for the week and then collect your evidence. What did you do? I meal prepped 2 breakfasts. I walked after dinner twice. I went to bed 30 minutes earlier. And I sat with emotions instead of eating through them. This builds identity. Identity is what drives the consistency, and consistency creates the outcomes. And I'm going to add one little bonus tip to really solidify your game plan and help you enter the new year ready to become the best version of you. I challenge you to name an accountability partner. I've mentioned this before on this podcast. It is so impactful to our journey. Someone you trust completely that will not judge you, but will also be completely honest with you and not coddle you. Remember, we don't want to isolate. You are not in this alone. Set up a system where you check in with that person once a week, once every other week, whatever it is, and give them a brief rundown of your game plan and what evidence you collected, aka what did you do, in order to move closer to becoming that best version of self. If you're listening in real time to this, then we're about a week out from the new year. I can't even handle it. Your homework is to complete this game plan. By the way, like I said, you can have more than one outcome, but just complete the template for each one and then put it all together, touch base with your accountability partner and set up, kind of what day of the week and time of the day you're going to check in with them. So fill out your game plan, name your accountability partner, ask them, obviously if they're willing to be that person for you. Get it all set up so that it's all set like before midnight on the 31st. And then it depends. So, for me, I'm single and I prefer to spend New Year's Eve at home praying over the new year and, over my New Year Better Me game plan. So like a bless and release, if you will, before going to sleep and waking up in the new year. I love waking up and feeling refreshed and excited for all that's to come. However, I do understand that most people have lives and do really fun stuff on New Year's Eve. So if that's you, Do your bless and release before you go out. And then when you get up, then you're all set to get started. My prayer for all of you is an abundance of health, peace, and joy in the new year. Thank you so much for your support. I truly love all of you. God loves you, and I'll talk to you next year. It's one of my favorite dad jokes. See you next year. All right, guys. Love you. Happy New Year. Hey, friend. I really hope you feel empowered by this episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and share it with another friend who needs it? Also, please leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts. It brings me so much joy to know this podcast is helping you. Okay, time to go nourish well, aka eat some good food. I'll meet you back here next time for another episode. I love you and God loves you. Have a beautiful day.